Welcome to Pilgrim's Rest Channel. Our mission here is to introduce the spiritual books passed down through the ages to you, the saints.
That's right. Providing rest and supply on your pilgrimage, your walk on the heavenly road, so you can be refreshed and, well, renewed.
And today we are immersing ourselves in a truly monumental work, one of the most beloved, most enduring spiritual guides ever written, The Imitation of Christ.
It really is. Traditionally, it's attributed to Thomas à Kempis, a mystic from the 15th century, and for, over 500 years now, it's been this incredibly practical, sometimes quite stark, guide for people serious about their spiritual path.
Yeah, stark is a good word. When you look at other devotional writing, this one really stands out. It seems to almost deliberately ignore the big political issues, the theological fights of its day.
Completely. It's like it assumes you already know the doctrines, you know the rituals. Kempis is focused entirely inward.
Right. He basically says, look, the real Christian life is about internal change and the complete suppression of the passions. That's the heart of it.
Not just, wearing the right external clothing or performing ritualistic ceremonies. For anyone today feeling pulled in a million directions by external noise, this book is like a compass pointing back to the inner life.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really pull out the core ideas from this classic. We're looking for those insights, maybe even some surprising ones, that can help us as modern pilgrims find real rest and strength for our own journey.
Okay, let's get into it. The book starts strong right from the beginning. It lays down its central principle immediately, using the Lord's own words.
Yes, it sets the stage instantly. It quotes from John chapter 8, verse 12. He who follows me walks not in darkness, says the Lord. So the absolute main focus, the core effort, has to be studying the life of Jesus.
And trying to imitate it, right? His habits, his mindset.
Exactly. And flowing directly from that comes one of the book's most, challenging critiques for many of us.
You mean the bit about knowledge versus action?
Precisely. That sharp contrast between just knowing things intellectually and actually living virtuously. Kempis really warns against mistaking learning for holiness.
He puts it so bluntly, it's not having deep knowledge that makes someone holy and just. It's living a virtuous life that actually pleases God.
It really forces you to examine your motives, doesn't it? Am I just accumulating spiritual facts, or am I actually changing? Am I performing or practicing?
And then there's that killer line, the one everyone remembers.
Yes. I would rather feel contrition than know how to define it.
Wow. Yeah. In today's world where we can analyze and label every spiritual state and, tweet about it, that line just stops you in your tracks.
It really does. The actual, maybe painful feeling of repentance is worth infinitely more than a perfect definition.
It completely undercuts intellectual pride. So if knowing stuff isn't the goal, what is? Kempis says the greatest wisdom is to seek the kingdom of heaven through contempt of the world.
Okay, that phrase, contempt of the world. We need to unpack that a bit for today. It sounds harsh.
It does, but it doesn't mean becoming a hermit or hating everything. It's about recognizing the vanity, the emptiness, the fleeting nature of purely worldly goals.
So things like chasing wealth that disappears, or seeking status and honor, or just living for bodily pleasure, or only caring about the present moment.
Yeah.
That's the vanity he's talking about.
Exactly. It's like building your house on sand. He advises turning your heart away from the love of things visible, the stuff that fades towards things invisible, the things that last. It's about where you place your ultimate trust and energy.
Makes sense. It's like spiritual minimalism in a way. And this kind of wisdom, he says, starts with humility, right? Knowing yourself.
Yes. True self-knowledge inevitably leads to humility. He even says a humble person just serving God is better off than some proud intellectual who can map the stars but ignores his own soul.
It strips away all the external measures of success or importance. And he says that truly knowing yourself and even despising your own frailties, that's the best and most perfect counsel.
It's strong language, but the point is radical self-honesty. If you see someone else mess up, the advice is don't think you're better because you're just as frail, maybe more so. This constant self-suspicion is key to growth.
That focus on our own weakness, our frailty, leads us straight into the next big theme, doesn't it? The one that, frankly, many people find difficult.
You mean suffering, the royal road of the Holy Cross.
Yeah, that sounds pretty intimidating.
It is sobering, no doubt. But Kempis sees it as absolutely essential for the pilgrims seeking true peace. He argues that trials and troubles aren't just random bad luck, they're actually beneficial.
Beneficial? How so?
They act like discipline for the soul. Adversity reminds us constantly that we're just exiled prisoners here on earth, and we shouldn't put our final hope or trust in worldly comforts or security.
So when he talks about bearing the cross, he means embracing this necessary suffering. Daily mortification, that sounds quite severe.
Well, mortification here isn't necessarily about extreme physical punishment, though some might have taken it that way. It's more about the daily, ongoing work of denying your own self-will.
Like saying no to your own demanding ego, your pride, your immediate desires.
Exactly, that's the daily cross. And he makes the point that this cross, this unavoidable friction and suffering in life, is inescapable. It's always there.
He says, wherever you go, you take yourself with you, and we'll find a cross in everything. You can't run away from difficult relationships or your own weaknesses or just the general hardship of life.
Right, so you can't avoid the cross. The real choice is how you carry it.
Okay, what's the choice then?
If you carry it willingly, embracing it as part of the path, he says it actually becomes lighter. It carries you towards your goal. But if you carry it unwillingly, kicking and screaming against it,
You just make it heavier.
you increase your own burden, create more internal misery. It's a profound shift in perspective.
That actually sounds incredibly practical. It reframes suffering, not as a punishment, but maybe as a tool, or at least an inevitability to be worked with, not against.
Precisely. And true patience, according to Kempis, means looking beyond who caused the suffering, whether it's someone above you, equal to you, or even below you, and accepting it gratefully as if from the hand of God.
That requires enormous faith. The motivation seems entirely focused on the eternal reward, right? Nothing suffered for God's sake is wasted.
Exactly, and this ties back to our frailty. He reminds us how easily we fall. We confess sins today, make resolution.
And break them tomorrow. Yeah, that feeling of spiritual 2 steps forward, 1 step back is painfully familiar.
Right, and that constant awareness of our weakness is why we have to keep humbling ourselves, never think anything great of ourselves. It's an ongoing process, knowing we can quickly lose any ground we gain through grace.
Okay, so after wrestling with self-denial and the reality of suffering, the focus shifts again, more towards the inner life, towards intimacy with God.
Yes, Book 3 especially often reads like a dialogue. It's the disciple speaking directly to the voice of Christ. It really emphasizes the need for that internal conversation, for listening within.
That famous prayer comes up here, doesn't it? Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth, from 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 9.
That's the one. The core idea is that real understanding, true spiritual insight, doesn't just come from outside sources. It has to ignite within.
So preachers or books, like this one even, can give you the words.
But only God can impart the Spirit, actually unlock their meaning inside you. External teaching is kind of useless if the heart isn't actively listening, isn't inflamed from within.
And what fuels that internal flame?
Divine love. Kempis presents love as the ultimate blessing, the thing that makes every burden light, every difficulty easy. Love allows you to bear wrongs patiently.
He says, someone driven by this love flies, runs, and rejoices. He is free, not bound. It sounds like love is the key to freedom.
It is, fundamentally, because this love is born of God and cannot rest except in God. That's why he insists our deepest affections have to be centered on Jesus, who wishes to be loved alone above all things.
And compared to that, our attachments to earthly things or people are, what was the phrase, deceitful and inconstant.
Yeah, because they
Or
can't
annoying.
ultimately satisfy that deep longing. Now, this focus on the inner life also means facing the ups and downs, right? The times of spiritual dryness.
Ah, yes. Consolation and desolation. The book is very clear that feeling spiritual comfort, that consolation, it's a gift. It's not something we earn.
Absolutely. And because it's a gift, it's not always there. God sometimes withdraws that feeling of closeness, that comfort. This state of desolation, feeling distant or empty, can be the hardest part.
Just having to keep going when you feel nothing.
Exactly. Waiting humbly, patiently. It seems counterintuitive. Like, why would God remove that comfort if it helps us grow?
Yeah, why?
Kempis suggests this trial, this period of dryness, is often more beneficial than constant spiritual highs.
Really?
Because it prevents spiritual pride. When we're always feeling good, feeling consoled, it's easy to start thinking, wow, look how spiritual I am. We take credit for it.
Ah, I see. So the real measure of our progress, our merit, isn't found in visions or feelings or even knowledge.
No, it's measured by the truth of his humility, by our constancy in seeking purely and entirely the honor of God, and by that ongoing contempt of self, meaning recognizing our dependence on grace. It's about faithfulness when the feelings fade. Yeah. Standing firm when the lights go out.
That makes a lot of sense. So all these themes, humility, accepting suffering, patience and dryness, they all seem to converge on achieving real peace.
Exactly. And Kempis is clear. True peace isn't found in just having quiet surroundings. It's found in self-mastery, in purity of heart.
There's that guiding principle. First, keep peace with yourself. Then you will be able to bring peace to others. Order your own inner world first.
Right. You can't give what you don't have. And the advice for someone trying to cultivate that inner order is pretty radical. You'll make great progress if you keep yourself free from all temporal cares.
Free from temporal cares. Does that mean quitting your job and ignoring responsibilities?
Not necessarily ignoring them, but changing your attachment to them. It means considering nothing truly great or high or ultimately satisfying except God himself or that which is of God. It's about radical focus. Where is your heart truly invested?
And then the voice of Christ gives those 4 specific rules, or maybe guidelines, for finding true liberty and peace. These sound incredibly challenging, especially today.
Oh, they are deeply challenging to our modern instincts. They're designed to directly combat our self-will, which Kempis sees as the root of all our restlessness.
Okay, let's hear them again. What are the 4?
First, seek to do the will of others rather than your own. Ouch.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Second, always choose to have less rather than more. Directly opposes consumerism.
Definitely. Third,
look always for the last place and seek to be beneath all others, the opposite of ambition.
and the last one.
Fourth, always wish and pray that the will of God be fully carried out in you. Complete surrender.
That second one, choose to have less rather than more. That just flies in the face of everything our culture tells us about happiness and security.
It seems completely counterintuitive to finding rest, doesn't it? But Kempis would say it's counterintuitive to our fallen nature, but not to grace. This is the shortcut.
So it all boils down to self-denial.
In essence, yes. The book calls it the short and perfect advice. Give up your desires and you will find rest. He identifies the biggest roadblock to union with God as that unruly love of self or of earthly goods. Conquer yourself, he says, and you conquer the world.
That's a powerful conclusion. And it brings us nicely to the final thought, that challenge for self-examination.
Yes, the whole book is really pushing you, the pilgrim reading it, to constantly look at your own motivations. Are your actions driven by nature or by grace?
Okay, let's clarify that distinction. What does Kempis mean by nature versus grace?
Nature, he says, is fundamentally crafty and self-serving. It's always looking out for number one.
So nature does things for its own gain. Wants praise, argues its own case, looks for payback, like if I do something nice, but then immediately want recognition for it.
That's nature at work. It's subtle, often hidden even from ourselves.
And grace?
Grace, by contrast, walks in simplicity. Grace acts purely for God, finds joy in humility, and seeks no reward other than God himself. Grace is quiet, simple, forgets the good deed once it's done because the focus is entirely on God's honor.
So the final challenge for us, for you listening, is to really examine our own lives, even our best efforts, our prayers, our service, our self-discipline.
Exactly. Are they driven by the restless, self-seeking energy of nature, looking for some kind of payoff, even an internal one? Or are they flowing from the quiet, simple, God-focused energy of grace? An honest answer there points the way to real, lasting rest.
A profound challenge indeed. Thank you for listening to Pilgrim's Rest Channel. See you next time.
We hope to meet again.